Have you ever watched a master, a figure of profound calm like Shi Heng, and felt a deep sense of admiration? You see their unshakable peace, their centered presence, and you think, that is the strength I want. That is the peace I seek. You consume the wisdom I want. You nod in agreement when you hear phrases like, do not let the behavior of others destroy your inner peace. You understand it intellectually, you believe it philosophically, and then life happens. A car cuts you off in traffic and you feel a surge of fire in your chest. A colleague makes a passive-aggressive comment in a meeting and your mind starts replaying it on a loop of fury. A promise is broken by someone you trust, and the ground beneath your feet feels like it has vanished, replaced by the bitter sting of betrayal. In that moment, where is the wisdom? Where is the peace? It feels like a distant fairy tale, completely disconnected from the raw, visceral, and immediate reality of your reaction. You know the philosophy, but you are still a prisoner of the provocation. You feel the sting of hypocrisy, not just from the world, but from yourself. You know who you want to be, but you are trapped in the reactions of who you currently are. What if I told you that this gap, this painful chasm between your highest intention and your instant reaction is not a personal failure? What if it's a biological trap? And what if I told you that escaping this trap is not about becoming a passionless monk overnight, but about installing a single, powerful mechanism in your mind? A 3-second pause button between what happens to you and what you choose to do about it. This is not another lecture on why you should be calm. This is a practical guide on how to build the fortress of your mind. So, let us begin by examining the very chains you have been taught to ignore. The idea that you should not give anyone the key to your emotions is not new. Great thinkers have said it for centuries. The philosopher Sudbury called it the ultimate slavery, when someone else can decide what happens within you. Think about that phrase. The ultimate slavery. It's a bold claim. We think of slavery in physical terms: shackles, cells, forced labor. But what is the true nature of a prison? Is it the iron bars? Or is it the inability to choose your own path? You can be in an open field, completely free in your body, yet be utterly imprisoned in your mind. If a single word from a stranger can ruin your entire day, who is the master and who is the slave? If a thoughtless action from a loved one can send you into a spiral of misery, who holds the remote control to your soul? We walk around believing we are free, yet we have handed out dozens of these remote controls to everyone we meet. One to our boss, one to our partner, one to our clients, one to the anonymous person in the comment section, one to the driver in the car next to us. We give them the power to press anger, sadness, anxiety, joy, or validation at their will, and we have become so accustomed to this that we believe it's normal. We call it being human, being sensitive, just reacting. We have normalized our own servitude. There was a man who understood the nature of true freedom better than almost anyone in modern history. His name was Dr. Viktor Frankl. Frankl was an Austrian psychiatrist who survived the unimaginable horrors of the Nazi concentration camps during World War II. He lost his wife, his parents, and his brother in the camps. He was stripped of everything: his home, his profession, his dignity. His very name was replaced by a number. His captors controlled every aspect of his physical reality. They could decide if he ate, if he worked, if he was beaten, if he lived or died. But they could not control one thing. In his monumental book, Man's Search for Meaning, Frankl revealed the final human freedom. He wrote, "Between stimulus and response, there is that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom." Let that sink in. This wasn't a theory he developed in a comfortable university office. This was a truth he forged in the fires of Auschwitz. The stimulus was torture, starvation, and constant degradation. Yet, in that tiny space between the horrific event and his internal reaction, he found his power. He could choose to find meaning. He could choose to help others. He could choose to hold on to the image of his wife. He could choose not to let them destroy his inner self. This space Frankl talks about is your birthright. It is the sacred ground of your sovereignty. And every single time you react automatically, Every time you let someone else's behavior dictate your emotional state, you are paving over that sacred ground. You are closing that space. You are willingly shackling yourself. You become a puppet, and you call the strings my personality. The first step to breaking these chains is not to fight. It is simply to see them, to acknowledge, with radical honesty, how many of your emotional remote controls you have given away. To see how small and claustrophobic you have allowed that precious space between stimulus and response to become. You are not to blame for this. Our modern world is designed to close that gap, to make us react faster, to consume more, to feel more intensely without thinking. But acknowledging the slavery is the first act of a free person. It is the moment the prisoner realizes the cell door has been unlocked the entire time. Now, the question becomes, why don't we just walk out? Why does the brain itself seem to conspire to keep us in chains? That is the abyss we must cross next. We have established a foundational truth. Your real freedom is found in the space between what happens and how you respond. Please. You have seen the invisible chains and acknowledged, even for a moment, that the prison door is unlocked. And yet, you remain inside. You wake up with the noble intention of being the master of your inner world. But by lunchtime, you find you are once again a slave to a passing comment or a frustrating event. This brings us to the most painful paradox of personal growth. The abyss known as the knowing-doing gap. You know you shouldn't get angry. You know you shouldn't let them get to you. You know Viktor Frankl's wisdom is profound. But in the heat of the moment, that knowledge feels useless. It's like knowing the schematics of a fire extinguisher while the room is already engulfed in flames. The knowledge is there, but it is inaccessible. Your body has already taken over. Why? Is it a failure of willpower? Or lack of discipline? Were you simply not spiritual enough? No. The reason is not a weakness of your character. It is a feature of your biology. The problem isn't your spirit. It's your wiring. For millions of years, your brain has been optimized for one primary goal: survival in a dangerous world, not for inner peace in a modern one. To understand why you react, we must look at the ancient, powerful security system running in the background of your mind. In 1995, the psychologist and science journalist Dr. Daniel Goleman published a revolutionary book called Emotional Intelligence. In it, he gave a name to that moment when your emotions overwhelm your reason. He called it the amygdala hijack. To understand this, let's use a simple metaphor. Imagine your brain has two key players, a wise owl and a guard dog. The wise owl is your prefrontal cortex. This is the part of your brain right behind your forehead. It is the sophisticated, modern, rational you. The wise owl is capable of logic, long-term planning, empathy, and nuanced thinking. It sees the big picture. It understands that the person who cut you off in traffic is probably just having a bad day, and that their actions have nothing to do with you. The wise owl is the part of you that reads Viktor Frankl and understands. But deep within the older, more primitive part of your brain, you have the guard dog. This is your amygdala. The guard dog is an ancient, simple, and incredibly powerful security guard. It is not smart, but it is fast. Its only job is to constantly scan for threats. It doesn't understand nuance. It sees everything in black and white, safe or threat. A saber-toothed tiger, threat. A looming deadline, threat. An insulting comment, threat. A condescending tone of voice, threat. A condescending tone of voice, threat. A condescending tone of voice, threat. Here is how the hijack happens. In a normal, calm situation, everything you see and hear goes through the brain's receptionist, the thalamus, which sends the information to the wise owl for careful processing. The owl looks at the data and makes a rational decision. But when the guard dog senses a potential threat, it does something extraordinary. It hijacks the system. It signals the thalamus to bypass the wise owl entirely and send the signal directly to it. It yanks the emergency alarm before the wise owl even has a chance to look at the report. This alarm floods your body with stress hormones like adrenaline and cortisol. Your heart rate skyrockets. Your muscles tense up. Your breathing becomes shallow. You are now in fight or flight mode. You are ready to attack a tiger, even if the tiger was just an email. You have been hijacked. The wise owl, the rational you, is effectively offline. It has been temporarily deafened by the alarm bells of the guard dog. This is why you can't access your higher wisdom in that moment. This is why you scream back at the driver, send the angry text, or say the hurtful thing you will regret minutes later. It's only after the hijack is over, after the hormones recede, that the wise owl comes back online, looks at the carnage, and asks, "What just happened?" We know better than that. This is not an excuse. It is an explanation, and it is the key to your freedom, because you cannot defeat an enemy you do not understand. Your enemy is not the other person. Your enemy is not even your anger. Your enemy is the hijack itself. So, the path to freedom is not about getting rid of the guard dog. You need it. It keeps you safe. It's a vital part of your ancient survival kit. The path is about training the guard dog. It's about teaching it to stop pulling the emergency alarm for every little thing. It's about strengthening the connection between the guard dog and the wise owl, so that the owl can calm the dog down and say, "I've looked at the data. This is not a tiger. We are safe. Stand down." How do we do that? How do we manually intervene in this lightning-fast biological process? We do it by installing that 3-second pause button we talked about. We do it with a decree, a conscious command that overrides the unconscious reaction. We need a tool that is simple enough to use when you are hijacked, and powerful enough to bring the wise owl back online. That tool is what we will build next. We have identified the enemy, the amygdala hijack, that biological alarm system that served our ancestors on the savannah but now wages war on our peace of mind in modern life. We know that the guard dog is fast and the wise owl is thoughtful, and the hijack happens when the dog's bark deafens the owl's wisdom. So, the mission is clear. We do not need to fight, to suppress, or to destroy our emotions. We need to intervene. We need a tool that is faster than the hijack itself. A simple, repeatable sequence that you can execute in the heat of the battle, a decree of consciousness that brings the wise owl back to its perch. This is not a 10-step meditation. It's a 3-second emergency protocol. We call it the 3-second decree. Let's build your shield. This decree has 3 simple sequential steps. Each step is designed to target and dismantle a specific part of the hijack mechanism. Think of it as see the dog, leash the dog, calm the dog. Step 1, the acknowledgement, see the dog. The moment you feel it, that surge of heat in your face, the tightening in your stomach, the immediate impulse to lash out, your first action is not to fight it. It is to see it. You will perform a simple act of meta-awareness. You will say to yourself, in the quiet of your own mind, just one word, acknowledge, or hijack, or jack, or simply, I see it. You are not judging the feeling. You are not trying to stop it. You are simply noticing it, like a scientist observing a phenomenon. Why is this simple word so powerful? This is a direct application of a principle identified by Dr. Dan Siegel, a renowned clinical professor of psychiatry at the UCLA School of Medicine. He calls it, name it to tame it. Through brain imaging studies, Siegel and other neuroscientists have found that the simple act of labeling an intense emotional experience recruits a different part of the brain. When you are lost in a rage, the activity is concentrated in your primitive limbic system, the guard dog's territory. But when you consciously put a name to the feeling, when you say this is anger or this is a hijack, you activate your right ventrolateral prefrontal cortex. You force the wise owl to wake up and look at what the guard dog is doing. This act of labeling, of seeing, immediately begins to dampen the fire of the limbic system. You are moving from being the emotion to observing the emotion. And in that observation, you find the beginning of that precious space Viktor Frankl spoke of. So, the first step is simple, acknowledge. Step 2, the physical anchor, leash the dog. Simultaneously with your acknowledgement, you will perform a simple, discrete physical action. Gently and with intention, touch the tip of your thumb to the tip of your index finger on one hand. It should be a soft, deliberate touch. This is not a mystical gesture. This is a neurological and psychological tool. This is a technique adapted from a field called neuro-linguistic programming, or NLP. It's called an anchor. An anchor is any stimulus, a touch, a sound, an image that you intentionally link to a specific emotional state. Its power is twofold. First, it acts as a pattern interrupt. The hijack is a powerful neurological pattern. By introducing a new, unexpected physical sensation, you divert some of your brain's resources to process that touch. It's like creating a pop-up ad in the middle of the anger program, momentarily scrambling the signal. Second, it is an act of state association, a concept built on the principles of classical conditioning. To build this anchor, you must practice it. Tonight, when you are feeling calm, perhaps listening to music or just before sleep, perform this same thumb and finger touch for a few seconds. Do it while consciously feeling a state of peace. By doing this, you are teaching your nervous system to associate this specific touch with a feeling of calm. Over time, the anchor itself begins to trigger the state. It becomes a physical leash on the guard dog. It's a tangible signal you are sending to your own body that says, I am in control here. Step 3. The dragon's breath. Calm the dog. You have acknowledged the hijack and anchored your body. The final step is to take direct, physiological control. You will take one single conscious breath, but it must be a specific kind of breath. Inhale slowly through your nose for a count of 4. Then, and this is the most important part, exhale even more slowly through your mouth for a count of at least 6. Imagine you are releasing a long, slow, quiet stream of smoke, like a wise ancient dragon, not a raging one. This is not just relaxed word. This is a manual override for your body's stress response. Here's how. Running through your body is a massive nerve called the vagus nerve. It is the main highway of your parasympathetic nervous system, the body's rest and digest system. Dr. Stephen Pudges, a leading neuroscientist, developed the polyvagal theory, which explains how this nerve acts as a command and control center for our feelings of safety and threat. The amygdala hijack activates the fight or flight system, but slow, controlled breathing, especially with a longer exhale, stimulates the vagus nerve. This stimulation acts like a powerful brake on the stress response. It sends a direct signal to the guard dog's control panel that says, the danger has passed. Stand down. It actively lowers your heart rate, reduces blood pressure, and counteracts the flood of cortisol. You are not asking your body to calm down, you are telling it to. Let's put it together. Thought provocation happens. Instantly, you perform the decree. Acknowledge. Mentally, I see it. Anchor. Thumb touches index finger. Breathe. In for 4 through the nose. Out for 6 through the mouth. Feel it. Touch it. Breathe it. This entire sequence takes no more than 3 to 5 seconds. It is your shield. It creates just enough space for the wise owl to regain its footing, for you to step back from the edge of reactivity and into the seat of your power. This is the practice. This is the how. You now possess the tool, the 3-second decree. Acknowledge, anchor, breathe. It is a shield forged from neuroscience, psychology, and ancient wisdom. It is simple, practical, and powerful. But a shield is worthless if left on the armory wall. A sword gains its strength not from its design, but from the hand that wields it in battle. Having this knowledge is not the end of your journey. It is the beginning, where real work starts now, not in the comfort of watching this video, but in the heat of your life. And the final step is to understand how to transform this conscious, deliberate act into an automatic, unshakable state of being. Think of a blacksmith forging a blade. The first strike of the hammer on the hot steel is clumsy. It creates a spark, but the shape barely changes. The second strike is more precise. The 10th, more confident. Third Allstonth strike is effortless, intuitive, powerful. The blacksmith no longer thinks about the angle of the hammer, their arm simply knows. Your mind is that piece of steel. The difficult situations in your life, the provocations, the frustrations, the insults, are the fire that makes the steel malleable. Your 3-second decree is the hammer. The first few times you use it, it will feel awkward. You might forget a step. You might do it after you've already reacted. This is not failure. This is the first strike. You are simply collecting the steel from the floor and putting it back in the fire. The next time, you will be a fraction of a second faster. You will catch the hijack just as it begins. The time after that, you will feel it coming and raise your shield before it even hits. This is not a poetical metaphor. This is a biological reality. It's a process called neuroplasticity. Your brain is not a static block of concrete. It is a dynamic living forest of neural connections. Right now, you have a well-worn 6-lane superhighway leading directly to react with anger. It's fast and efficient. Your new path, the 3-second decree, is currently a tiny overgrown footpath in that forest. Every time you choose to use the decree instead of reacting automatically, you are a pioneer clearing that path. You are weakening the old highway and reinforcing the new one. You are physically rewiring your brain. You are teaching the guard dog that there is a new, better protocol when it senses a non-physical threat. You are forging new connections, building a new superhighway to a state of calm authority. This requires heat, life's challenges, and it requires pressure. Your conscious, repeated effort. This is why we call it a decree. A decree is not a suggestion. It is not a preference. It is a law declared by a sovereign. You are the sovereign of your inner world. Every time you perform this act, you are not just managing your anger, you are issuing a declaration of independence. You are reminding every cell in your body who is in charge. You are transforming from a slave who reacts into a master who chooses. And now we arrive at the final moment, the moment of truth, the point where knowledge must become action, where the passive viewer must become the active creator of their own freedom. There is a profound psychological reason why making an intention tangible is so critical. The world-renowned expert on persuasion, Robert Cialdini, explained it in his seminal book, Influence, with his principle of commitment and consistency. His research shows that when we take a small active step towards a goal, our brain seeks to align our future actions with it. A written word is not just a thought, it's a small physical manifestation of an intention. Prick. It's the first turn of the key. So I will not ask you to make a grand declaration. Instead, I offer a simple, quiet invitation. The purpose of a shield is not just to own it, but to know where you will use it first. Think for a moment. What is the one situation, the one person, or the one recurring thought that most often hijacks your peace? See it clearly in your mind. Now, instead of focusing on the problem, focus on your new tool, on your shield, on the calm, centered sovereign you are choosing to become. Here is my invitation to you. Go to the comments and share just one word that describes the quality you will bring to that situation the next time it arises. Perhaps your word is patience. Perhaps it is silence. Perhaps it is breathe, space, clarity, or compassion. There is no right or wrong answer. This word is not for anyone else. It is your first conscious choice. Your first act of defiance against the old habit. Let that single chosen word be your anchor. Let it be the first mark you make on the forge, the first signal to yourself that the training has truly begun. The chains are an illusion. The slavery was a habit, not a destiny. Your peace is not a gift to be given by others, but a fortress to be built by you, one word, one breath, one choice at a time. Your journey starts now.